There's one more very important system mechanic that I want to talk about, and I hinted about this earlier. It's the overhead attack, also known as the universal overhead. I showed you this early when I talked about stand defense, stand blocking, and crouch blocking, and that this universal overhead attack is an attack that will hit opponents who are crouching and defending. So for example, she's defending all of my attacks here, even my low attacks. However, there is a universal overhead, the universal attack mechanic, that if you are crouch blocking, you will get hit. One thing that I do want you to note here, and this is also very important, a very common mechanic, very visual cue that you will see in almost every ArcSys game.
Formidable.
If you are crouch blocking and you get hit by a move that you have to stand block, you will see a double exclamation mark appear above your character's head. If you ever get hit and you see the double exclamation mark appear above your head, that means you were low blocking a move that you had to stand block. This is a really, really nice visual mechanic in these games, because if you're defending and you get hit by something and you're like, I was blocking, but if you see the two exclamation marks, that tells you right away that you should have been stand blocking the move, that the move that you got hit by can only stand block. So for example, if I just have the character standing there and doing nothing, and I hit you with the universal overhead, the exclamation marks don't appear. They only appear if you happen to be blocking in the wrong direction. Conversely also, is that if you do get hit by a low attack that you should have been crouch blocking, see she's stand blocking here right now, but if she gets hit by a move low that she should have been crouch blocking, you'll see a single blue exclamation mark instead of a double orange exclamation mark. If you see this, then you know you should have been crouch blocking this move. So if you see a move like this, see, this is not a low because she can block it. But if Gran goes for his crouching unique and you see that exclamation mark, it means that you should have been low blocking. So if you get hit by a move and you're like, was that a low attack? If you see that exclamation mark on your head, then the answer is yes. If you don't see an exclamation mark on your head, then you weren't guarding or something went wrong and you just got hit by the move. So that's a nice little mechanic that they put in Granblue. And again, everybody has the universal overhead attack. The way to perform this move is to hit medium attack and heavy attack at the same time. Unlike throw, this is the only set of inputs you can do that. There's no other combination of buttons that let you perform the overhead attack. It is only medium plus heavy. And for every character, they will leap into the air and perform an attack that comes down and chops you. It's important to mention that they leap into the air because if you get hit out of it, you do get hit out in the air. But again, most characters should be able to combo you no matter what. So for example, if I record Catalina to do medium as an auto combo and I try to do this and she hits me, she can auto combo me and juggle me out of the air just like that. You can get hit out of it. Obviously, all of the overhead attacks are very slow to start up. They have this long wind-up time. And as I mentioned earlier, they all start with this spark. You'll hear the same sound effect. Let me turn up the volume here. You can hear that shing sound effect. That sound effect is on everybody's universal overhead. So there's a visual and an audio cue for everybody's universal overhead attack. So you don't have to memorize what the universal overheads look like. You just have to learn to react to that blue spark and that sound effect if you have the audio available to you. So that way, every time you hear this, please stand up and block. There you go. And the startup is long enough that most human reactions can see the spark, hear the ching sound effect, and actually stand up and block in time. As you can see, Airnair in the chat right now is providing a lot of detailed frame data for a lot of these things like the tech window and stuff. I'm not trying to get into too much detailed frame data because I'm trying not to scare people with a lot of this data, but I still want Airnair to put them in their chat over there. Thank you, Airnair, for doing that, because for those of you who are detail-oriented, who do understand frame data, that information is something that they love, and having that information is great off to the side over there. So that's really, really cool. I'm not going to be talking about it. A lot of people are probably wondering why I'm not mentioning the frame data, but that's the reason right there. For now, I don't want to get into too much about frame data, but if you want to know the frame data, people in the chat are putting it down in there for you guys. So during the throw section, you can take a look there and see the frame data there. But that's basically the overhead attack off of this thing. Now, there's something very, very important about these attacks and counter hits. Most of the time when you hit the opponent with something like this, there's really nothing you can do. The opponent will always be able to block afterwards. Like so. I can't really get anything off of it. I can't get any more damage than the universal overhead damage that I'm getting. However, there is such a thing called counter hits, and I'll be talking about counter hits later on. If you get hit by a counter hit, your character ends up getting stuck in a hit animation for longer than normal. So in this particular situation, if I hit you with a universal overhead attack and it happens to be a counter hit, now I can combo off of it and get a lot more damage in that situation. So that is something that's important to note, and just understand that if you get a counter hit on this, you can get a combo off of it. Don't worry about how to get counter hits or what counter hits mean. That will be explained in a section in the coming up. And again, as Airnair said, all of this frame data is available on a site called DUSTLOOP.com. It has a lot of frame data for a lot of fighting games, a wonderful resource. I'll make sure to put the link in the description to check out the DUSTLOOP wiki sections for fighting game frame data for a lot of games. Very valuable resource for fighting game players out there.